Brahmanda Purana, Part 1, Section 1, Purva Bhaga, Prakriya Pada, Chapter 2. The Legend of Naimisaranya. Greedy King Purura was killed while confiscating the golden altar. Prince Ayu, installed as king, sages conciliated. Those sages who considered the austerities as their wealth asked Suta once again, where did that satra, sacrificial session of those persons of miraculous deeds take place? How long did it continue? How was it performed? How did Prabhanjana, the wind god, recount the Purana? Recount it in detail, as we have great eagerness to hear it. Thus urged, Suta replied the following auspicious words narrative. Listen to the narration as to where those self-possessed ones performed the excellent satra, how long it continued and how it was performed. Desirous of creating the universe formerly, he, Brahma, discharged everything to those who performed the yajna. They performed the highly meritorious satra for 1,000 years. Brahma himself became the Tapograhapati, lord of the penance house. Ida accepted the status of the Patni, wife of the sponsor of the sacrifice. The intelligent Mrityu of great splendor performed the Swamitra rite, the act of killing the sacrificial animal in that satra of those noble souls. The Vibhudhas, Devas, stayed there for 1,000 years. The place where the rim of the whirling Dharma Chakra, wheel of righteousness, broke down became well known as Naimisha on account of that event. It is a place well worshipped by the sages. The footnote says, Fight chapter 1, page 8, note 2. It appears that the Brahmanda Purana regards Nimsar near the Gomati as the original Naimisaranya. It is the place where the holy Gomati river is resorted to by Siddhas and Charanas. The Gomati had a daughter in a trace, and that is the Rohini. Shakti became the eldest son of the noble-souled Vasishtha and Arundhati of excellent brilliance. It is the place where King Kalmashapada and Shakra met Shakti. It is the place where enmity broke out between Vishwamitra and Vasishtha. The footnote says the text Sutayatra Danam Uttamate Jasaha is confusing. Vayu Purana 2.10 in identical verse reads, There 100 sons of excellent brilliance, of whom Shakti was the eldest, were born of the noble-souled Vasishtha from Arundhati. Vayu Purana 2.11, identical with this number 11 verse, reads Saptaha for Shakraha. It means it is a place where King Kalmashapada was cursed by Shakti. It is the place where sage Parasara was born of Adrishyanti. Against his knowledge, Vasishtha had to court discomfiture. The footnote says Parasara, while in his mother's Adrishyanti's womb, was such a great Vedic scholar that he surpassed his grandfather Vasishtha. Mahabharat Adi 176.12 to 15. The expounders of Brahman thought of a mountain in Nimisha at that spot, since they were born rather performed sacrifice. Vayu Purana 2.13. In Nimisha, they are remembered as Naimishas. The Satra of those intelligent persons lasted for 12 years, when the valorous Pururavas was ruling over the earth. We have heard the report that even when he enjoyed 18 islands over the ocean, Pururavas was never contented with the jewels due to his covetousness. Urged by a divine messenger, Urvashi made love to him. He sponsored this satra in the company of Urvashi. While King Pururavas ruled, the sages of the Naimisha forest performed the sacrificial session. The Ganga conceived a brilliant fetus from the fire god. She deposited it on the mountain and it was transformed into gold. God, Vishwa, God Vishwakarma himself, the god of great imagination who evolved the world, entered that sacrificial session of those sages of unbounded immense luster and transformed the premises and enclosure of the sacrifice into a golden one. The footnote says Satre amended as Satram as in Vayu Purana 2.17, an identical verse. Pururavas, the son of Ida, came a hunting to that region. Seeing that extremely wonderful enclosed place of the sacrifice made of gold, his wisdom was overcome, literally struck down by avarice, and he began to seize it. Thereupon, the residents of Naimisha became very much infuriated against the king. The angry, learned ascetics who were devoted to penance, urged by the Devas, hit him with Kusha grasses, charged with thunderbolt. Pounded by the adamantine Kusha grasses, that king cast off his mortal body. The son of Urvashi fought there on the ground. The footnote says this account of Pururava's death recorded here appears to be correct historically. Pururavas was a chief from Trans-Himalayan region, Ilavarta Varsha, the region round Mount Meru, bounded by Mount Gandhamadana on the west and Malayavan on the east. He established his kingdom at Pratisthana, modern Jhushi near Allahabad, and founded the famous lunar dynasty. His greed for wealth and his attempt to plunder the sacrificial session is recorded in the Mahabharata Adi 75.22-23, as he came there a hunting and not with an army for conquest. It is more probable that he was overwhelmed by the sages and got killed in the scuffle. The sages' curse and the bringing of fire from the heaven, etc., described in the Mahabharata is obviously a whitewash by its author, as the episode concerned the founder of the lunar dynasty to which Pandavas belonged. The sages wisely installed his son Ayuz, who, like a far-sighted statesman trying to consolidate the newly founded kingdom, extended his patronage to the sacrificial session. The Brahmanda Purana version is supported by Vayu Purana. The text Aurvasheyais tatas tasya yuddham chakre ripo bhuvi is syntactically not correct. Moreover, Ayu, the son of Pururavas and Urvashi, who succeeded him, is not known to have fought with the sages. Vayu Purana 2.23b, a corresponding verse reads Then they made his son, born of Urvashi, the king over the earth. Ayus, the righteous ruler of the earth, whom they call the noble-souled father of Nahusha, obtained a high priority among those who got purificatory bath in the principal sacrifice of that sacrificial session. Having pacified the king that way, the sages, the knowers of Brahman, who themselves were the murtis, idols of the calves of the cow in the form of the earth, began to perform the sacrificial session. In this satra, the noble souled ones observed celibacy. The footnote says, for Prithvi Vatsatma Murtayaha, in this text, Vayu Purana 2.26, a corresponding verse reads, Satram Arebhire Kartum Yathavad Dharma Bhutaye, according to prescribed rites for the prosperity of Dharma. The observed Brahmacharya, as in the case of Vishwasrajas, creators of the universe, formerly when they were desirous of creating the universe. The king became endowed with the luster of the sun and the fire. He shone like Indra with the sages and others around him, such as the anchorites, Valakilyas, fond of their friends, Marichis, the unborn sages. They worshipped the Devas with hymns of praise and houses, and the Pitras by means of the holy rites befitting the Pitras. The footnote says the reading of these stanzas in Vayu Purana the same as 28b in Vayu Purana. The sacrificial session was attended by Valakilyas and other sages brilliant like the sun, the fire, and by auspicious holy multitudes of Pitras, Charanas, as in the assembly of Indra. They duly worshipped the Gandharvas and others in accordance with their species. While propitiating, he remembered the Gandharvas and others. Thereafter, in other holy rites, the Gandharvas sang Saman hymns, the groups of Apsaras danced, the sages spoke words of wonderfully variegated letters and of splendid form. The learned scholars chanted mantras, etc. They defeated their opponents by means of copious objections. The sages were great, erudite scholars. They were experts in words, meanings, and logical arguments. Nothing was seized from them. No Brahmarakshasas entered the place and spoiled the yajna. Neither the Daityas nor those with weapons with feather attached to them came there. There was no occasion for expiatory acts, and there was no poverty. Due to the combination of efficiency, intellect, and steady activity, the injunctions were duly carried out, resulting in blessings. Thus, the Satra sacrificial session of those learned persons continued for 12 years. The sacrifice of the sages residing in Naimisha was like that of the thunderbolt bearing Indra. The elderly, heroic, and other Ritviks performed the Jyotishtoma sacrifices separately. Riding on the backs of horses, they concluded all the sacrifices after distributing 10,000 coins as monetary gifts. After concluding their yajna, all of them asked Vayudeva, the wind god, the great lord of unmeasured vitality, O Brahmanas, what I have been asked by you all. Urged by them, the Lord mentioned to them the matter of his own race. The footnote says Vayu Purana 2.36 reads Brigavadya Rasyo Dhiya, intelligent and self-possessed sages like Bhrigu and others. Vayu Purana 2.36 reads Prashtha Gamanam, who went after them. Lord Wind was the disciple of the cell-born deity. He has perfect control over the sense organs. He sees everything directly. He is endowed with the eight powers anima, minuteness, and others. He is equipped with subtle limbs. He sustains all the worlds by means of rains, along with the winds blowing obliquely. The branches, the seven bows, have been borne by him. The seven types of wind are probably alluded to. He protects the mobile and the immobile beings all round. In his realm, the 7 times 749 maruts are stationed. He is extremely powerful and he performs the satra of the sutas with 3 vyuhas, circular or other types of arrays. He holds the remedies of the fairy embodied beings. The 5 functional organ, airs, viz, prana and others sustain the body filling in with its innate activities. The wind has ether, akasha, as its source of origin. It has 2 qualities. It is endowed with the qualities of shabda, sound, and sparsha, touch. He has been called Vachorani, source of origin of speech, like the Arani, which as the source of fire, by persons who are clever in the science of sound and phonetics. With soft and gentle speech, he appeared to delight the sages. O learned ones, conversant with the Puranas, O Brahmanas, well disciplined in the knowledge of the Puranas, the Lord Wind recounted the story in a speech befitting the basis which is the Purana. All these narrations, O excellent Brahmanas, are in accordance with what had transpired. This is an excellent, great principle of the world of the sages. This Purana has been formerly recounted by Brahma. It contains excellent wisdom of the deities and the sages. It destroys all sins. I shall narrate it in detail, its contents in due order. The footnote says Vayu Purana 2.41 reads Vyuha Vyuhasrayanam Bhutanam, Bhutas, beings who depend on the Vyuha, body. 55.36 to 48 show that this Purana, Brahmanda Purana, was formerly narrated by God Brahma originally. His disciple, the wind god, recounted it to sages of Naimisaranya on the occasion of the Satra of 12 years duration. Chapter 3. Description of evolution of the universe, the creation of Hiranyagarbha. Sutta narrated, listen to their divine story that reads one of all sins. It is being narrated by me. It is wonderfully variegated. It has many topics under discussion. It is esteemed by the Vedas. He who retains this in mind permanently or listens to this frequently maintains his family or propagates his race, and he is honored in the heavenly world. Listen to the topic being recounted in the manner it had been heard and it had occurred. Listen to the five taras, stars that are 5 in number. Listen to this narrative that is conductive. Listen to this narrative that is conducive to the increase of the fame of the ancestors. The footnote says, for the above reading, Vishwatara cha ya pancha, Vayu Purana 4.7a, a corresponding verse reads Vishtaravyyavam Tesam. Listen to the narration of the detailed parts of the Purana. The glorification of all these persons of meritorious deeds and of everlasting fame is conducive to wealth, fame, longevity, and heaven. It destroys enemies. I bow down to Hiranyagarbha, the lordly Purusha, who is unborn, who is the first creator of subjects, who is the most excellent one, though who is the most excellent one, through whom the Kalpa has been competent to have its characteristics, through whom the fire has been capable of being a purifying factor, and who is the self born Brahma administering all the worlds. After bowing down to Brahma, I shall recount the excellent creation of living beings that begins with Mahat, the great first principle, and ends with Vishesha, special created things, that has its own characteristic features and diversities, that has five authorities, testimonies, that calmly rests in the six ones, and that which is presided over by Purusha. The footnote says the Sankhya theory of evolution of the universe is accepted in Puranas. Compare the account of creation of the Brahmanda in Narad Purana, Brahmanda Purana, KP and AP. Through concentration of mind, I shall describe to you the excellent creation of Bhutas, Avyakta, the unmanifest one, which is of the nature of Sat and Asat, existent and non existent, is the eternal cause. Persons who discuss and ponder over the principles reality call it Pradhana and Prakriti. It is devoid of odor, color, and taste. It is without the qualities of sound and touch. It is the source of origin of the universe. It is the great Bhuta, living entity, the supreme and eternal Brahman. It is the cosmic body of all living beings. The unmanifest one has become so. The Brahman has neither beginning nor end. It is unborn and subtle. It has three gunas. It is the source of origin and place of ultimate merging and rest. It is Asampratika, does not belong to the present time. It is Agnyaya, that is, cannot be comprehended. It is the Brahman which is beyond Sat and Asat. This entire dark world was pervaded by his Atman soul. As the gunas were in a state of equilibrium, this world full of darkness had not yet been evolved. At the time of creation, Pradhana is presided over by Kshetragya, and since the gunas become uneven due to loss of their equilibrium, the great principle Mahat was evolved. That Mahat, great principle, is subtle, and at the outset it was enveloped by Avyakta, the Mahat, wherein there is a predominance of Sattva Guna, displays Sattva Guna alone. It should be known as Mahat on account of its Sattva quality, that is remembered as its sole reason. The Linga, Sharira, that is the internal body or the psychic mechanism alone, is evolved, and it is presided over by Kshetragya, individual soul. Samkalpa, wishful thought, and Adhyavasaya, determination, are remembered as its two functions. With a desire to create, he who is beyond measures creates the great creation. Defective text, virtue, etc., and the elements are the causes of the principles of the worlds. The footnote says the text from verse 17 to 28 is corrupt, and the corresponding text of the Vayu Purana chapter 4 has little in common with these verses and is of no help in interpretation. Hence, reconstruction of emendations could not be hazarded. But Vayu Purana 4.76b to 79 bears some correspondence to Brahmanda Purana 1.1.3.24 to 27. The Vayu Purana verses may be summarized here as follows. The Kshetragya called Brahma who awoke in the egg of Prakriti, cosmic egg, is the first embodied being, and he is called Purusha, one lying in the abode of the cosmic egg. This god Brahma, the first creator of bhutas, elements of beings, existed first. This four-faced Hiranyagarbha appeared at first in this cosmic egg, both at the time of creation and recreation after destruction. He is the Kshetragya called Brahma. The mind in the great Atman is Brahman. The discrimination of wicked knowledge is through Ishvara, Lord. The Pragya Sandhi, the junction of intellect, is everything that is under possession. He considers all living beings through Sankhyaya Tana Rashmis, the rays that are the abode of the number. Therefore, the Lord attains the desired fruit. The Manas, mind, is called Bhoktra, enjoyer, and Tratra, protector, and it remains as separated soul. The Mahat is so called because it falls within the collection of principles and it is great in magnitude. The Mahat principle is remembered as one having physical body that is greater than the remaining gunas and tattvas, principles. The mind is called Manas because it thinks or considers the division or separateness, or it is thought of as a part. The individual soul is remembered as Purusha because of its relationship with Sat, the existent, that is the Brahman, by way of enjoyment of worldly pleasures. Also, the Supreme Soul is called Brahman because it is Brihat, very huge, and because it causes all the living beings to increase in size. Brahmanatva. It is possible because it is the basis of everything. It is defined as Brahma because it causes the living beings to increase in size and because it fills all the bodies with blessings. The Purusha understands all the bhavas, beings and things separately. It is through it, that is Purusha, that the Brahman achieves all its tasks. Literally doing of the work at the outset. Know that the Prakrita, the creation of Prakriti, is the Vivarta, transformation of Brahman. The footnote says the Purana supports Vivartavada as distinguished from Parinamavada in explaining the Brahma world relation. The Kshetragya is on a par with Brahman. Indeed, it is called the first embodied being, and Purusha, the ancient person. That Brahma is the primordial creator of the living beings that existed at the outset. The footnote says from this verse onwards, the Prakrita Sarga, the first creation of God Brahma, is described. It takes place without pre-planning or is unpremeditated. Abhudvipurva, like the sudden flash of lightning, as the Brahmanda Purana puts it. While the Vaikrita creations, 5 in number, are planned. Buddhi Purvaka. That Hiranyagarbha with 4 faces appeared in the Anda, cosmic egg, in the primary creation as well as in the secondary creation. The Kshetragya is on a par with Brahman. The individual souls are asked along with the Karanas, sense organs. They abandon them along with the dissolutions. Again, they assume physical bodies during the junctions of the yugas. Defective text: those five who are enlightened may take away the water of the depression pit of that noble souled one who uplifts the golden Meru. These seven worlds are well established in this cosmic egg. The whole earth, along with the seven continents, the seven oceans, the great mountains, and thousands of rivers, are established in the very same cosmic egg. These worlds are situated within the cosmic egg. This universe is within the cosmos. Everything is established in that cosmic egg, viz. The moon and the sun, along with the stars, planets, and the wind, as well as the mountain Loka Loka. The waters are ex- externally surrounded by the Tejas, fiery element, 10 times as big as themselves. The Tejas is externally surrounded by Vayu, wind, 10 times as big as itself. The footnote says, from this verse, the elemental sheaths that envelop the cosmic egg are enumerated. As verse 29 to 38 in Brahmanda Purana here and Vayu Purana 4.81 to 91 are identical, we can substitute the missing line in Brahmanda Purana 32 by Vayu Purana 84a as follows. The cosmic egg is enveloped from outside with the sheath of 10 times larger water. This additional line is essential to make up the number 7 of these Prakritic sheaths mentioned below in verse 34 as Ebhir Abharanair Andam Saptabhihi Prakritair Vritam. Vayu is externally surrounded by the Nabhas, ether, 10 times as big as itself. In the same manner, the entire ether is externally surrounded by Bhutadi, the Ahamkara or ego. The Bhutadi is enveloped by Mahat and the Mahat is enveloped by Pradhana. The cosmic egg is thus enveloped by the seven Avaranas, coverings pertaining to the Prakriti. Thus, willingly, these Prakritis, evolutes of Prakriti, are stationed ready in destroying mutually. They stand ready at the time of creation. They sustain mutually and they devour mutually. Those vikaras, effects, abide in the vikarins, causes, by way of the supporter supported relationship. The Avyakta, the unmanifest one, is called Kshetra and Brahman is called Kshetragga. Thus, the Prakrita Sarga, creation of the Prakriti, has been explained. It is presided by Kshetragga. This is the first creation and it is unpremeditated. It appeared just like the lightning. Undoubtedly, he who factually understands this birth of Hiranyagarbha shall become long lived, famous, blessed, and intelligent.